Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming. We'll start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Big crowd. I assume everybody's paid their tickets? Anyone? Anyone? All right, just kidding. All right. Changes to the agenda? Anything from council? No changes? All right. Presentations. We have waste management presentation by Jordan Chandler.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Mr. Town Manager, City Staff. I'm Jordan Chandler. I'm the Government Affairs Manager for Waste Management. And I'm here tonight, number one, to first and foremost thank each and every single one of you for your collaborative efforts in ensuring that, number one, we are your preferred hauler here in the town of Indialantic, and we have enjoyed this long-standing relationship that we've had for, I think it's almost 40 years now. And so we look forward to continue to strengthen that strong partnership. Secondly, I'm here tonight to request your support and approval of a 5-year extension of our current existing solid waste franchise agreement. Your current agreement expires September 30th, 2026, and WM is proposing a 5-year extension, which will ultimately take that agreement to September 30th, 2031. This extension ensures continuity of service, avoids disruption, and also eliminates any transition risks. So not only that, but tonight, one of the things that we've talked with staff about is enhancing some of the services that we currently have here in the town of Indialantic. We know that yard waste is a big thing here in Brevard County. We're seeing a exorbitant amount of yard waste due to the recent freezes that we've had. So we've recently had some conversations about adding routed, bulky yard waste service here in the town of Indialantic. Currently, your service provides for one-time-a-week collection for routed yard waste, but it's an on-call service. So what we're proposing is to move that service to a routed weekly service where residents no longer have to call in for that service, but they will actually have a designated day. It will either be Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, okay? So that is a big improvement. We have those conversations with staff per their request. This does come with some kind of fiscal impact because we're ultimately dedicating an asset here to this community to be able to service the residents efficiently and effectively, and that is 67 cents per residential unit per month, okay? And some of the benefits, obviously, are just limited time of debris sitting at curbside. And so if we're able to get it as quickly as possible, it'll definitely help aesthetically here within this beautiful community. And so at the town's request, in addition to that, they've asked that we start this service as quickly as we possibly can, which will be June 1st of 2026. So Monday, June 1st, 2026, we'll start our first routed service here for bulky yard waste collection if you were to approve the 5-year extension. And that particular time frame does allow us the opportunity to effectively communicate to residents that change in service or that service enhancement and notifying them of the particular day in which they will receive routed bulky yard waste collection. And with that, we just have two simple requests. We looking forward to continuing our partnership here with each and every single one of you, and we request respectfully for council to approve of the 5-year contract extension and service enhancements that we are ultimately providing. And happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Any questions from council?
Thank you, Mr. Chandler. Just one question for you.
Yes, sir.
With the routed yard waste on a weekly basis, will that be only at the stated street address for the house, or if the homeowner puts it on a corner lot and they put it on their side yard, will that be also picked up?
Yes, sir. As long as it's at a residential address, we'll pick it up.
Thank you. Oh, and one small follow-up.
Yes, sir.
Is there a size limitation that the residents need to be aware of for the pile pickup?
So there are some caveats. Obviously, the pile has to be at least 3 cubic yards or greater. So I usually equate that probably to the size of this table, because ultimately, when that clam truck or the claw grabs the pile, we do not want to obviously mess up people's beautiful lawns, right? But outside of that, there are no size limitations, right? It's unlimited. But if a landscaper or a contractor ultimately provides work at a residential address, it is the responsibility of them to haul that material away.
Thank you, sir.
Can it be on your driveway, or does it have to be on the?
We prefer it to be curbside, not on the driveway, because we don't want to tear up anybody's, yeah.
I'd rather have you tear up my concrete than my lawn.
Mr. Mayor?
yeah.
Can I just interject a couple things real quick so council's aware? The 67 cents per month per residential unit, the town, per your previous direction, will pay that through September 30th through our budget, and then it'll be passed on in the normal water bill with the city of Melbourne, with the trash services. And the 5-year agreement would be based upon a CPI in October the June CPI, is it?
Say it again, I'm sorry.
But was it the June CPI based upon the new increase?
Correct. So the way our current contract reads is the way we calculate CPI is April over April data.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that data will not be available until May, right before your next council meeting. And so the CPI adjustment in addition to the 67 cents will apply. Yeah.
Probably about a 4% right now.
Yeah, roughly.
Roughly, yeah. So that's part of the thing, and it's the same way we've done it the last several years, and it would be automatically over the next 5 years based upon the yard and waste trash and CPI. It would be raised.
Okay. Any other questions from council?
I have one.
Yep.
Yes.
I'm not sure if it already exists in our current contract, but I noticed, like if someone has bulk items such as, and I was going to ask for clarification on what this is, white goods? Like if I know I read tires in excess of that. Question being, it said if the landfill is refusing to take it, then there could be a charge. Is this something that you run into often? And if so, what is that charge?
I am still, so the landfill is operated by Brevard County. I'm still having those conversations because I've actually heard that from a few of our municipal partners, that they're having some issues with being turned away, even contractors being turned away, residents being turned away. And so I'm in contact right now with the solid waste director, Tom Mulligan. So I don't have a definitive answer.
Okay.
We're still actually looking into that. He was unaware, and so I can get further information to
But
you when it
but
comes to
then what
bulky
are
waste.
white goods, just out of curiosity?
White goods are anything like e-waste, right? So electronic waste, that can be a TV, that can be a refrigerator, that can be
Okay.
a deep freezer if you have one. So
Okay.
now, the request tonight, though, just want to clarify, specifically for bulk yard waste.
Okay, okay.
Bulk waste, bulk furniture, white goods, that is still an on-call service.
So, Mike, we're going to be voting on this tonight? You're asking us to vote on this tonight, is that correct? Yeah. Okay. 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 Is there a motion from council?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion to extend the contract with Waste Management through September 30th of 2031.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Any more discussion amongst council?
It's a good thing.
All right. Public comment? Dave?
Well, first, I'll make a comment. I mean, after 17, 18 years of serving here, and we've continually prior. Mr. Berkman, 225 8th Avenue. We have never gone out for bid. We've always given you the contract. Your service has fallen off significantly in the last couple of years. There were many times, right, we haven't seen pickups, many times. So first, I question the wisdom of it just giving them the contract without, I don't know what discussion you had or if you went out. You did definitely go out for bid. Something to think about. Second, 68 cents, whatever it is, times 1,800 households, about $1,200 a month. How many trucks are you putting on the street every week for the big yard pickup?
For the-
Asking the question.
Yeah, so for routed, I think as of right now, still working out with operations, but I think we're dedicating 2 trucks here, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I'm,
The bulk yard and waste pickup.
correct. So there will be 2 trucks here dedicated specifically picking up yard waste Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 day a week. Mhm.
So you can get the whole town. It just doesn't, I question it. So at 67 cents, 1,800 homes, $1,200, that's costing you more than that. So that just doesn't make sense to me. So I question if that's really what's going to happen, because it sounds great, but it doesn't seem realistic to me. But thank you.
Hey, Mike, I know we talked about this on the phone. If it goes out to bid with another company, basically their bid gets reset. So the bid over the 40, or the contract over 40 years has gone up incrementally. So if somebody starts a brand-new contract with Waste Management tomorrow, theirs would be, so much higher than ours or
I
whatever.
can't guarantee it, but I will tell you the experience of the city of West Melbourne, and I've spoken with their manager about this year before last. Their council decided to go out. They didn't want to take the price they had discussed with Waste Management, and they went out for the RFP and went out for bid. Everybody came in higher, including Waste Management, and Waste Management did win the contract, and their council inquired, well, why can't we get that other price? Well, they lost that price because that.
Because it went up for
RFP,
bid.
yeah.
Okay.
And I will say the communications have gotten much, much better. We have extremely amount of yard waste going on right now. And I get an email, I don't usually see it because it's 10:30 at night and that's usually my bedtime. But they'll send me an email and the next morning about yard waste not being picked up. And usually it's the North Residential, I'll be honest with you. And by the next morning, by 10:30, 11 o'clock, they've picked up.
Okay. Any other public comment?
John Greco, 418 7th Avenue. I was wondering if you all had any discussions. We have trash pickup twice a week, and that seems like a lot. If you cut that back to once a week, is it feasible, or is there a problem with that? And do you make up any of the money you lost?
Mike, do you have any?
I'm sure I have to ask that question, but I'm sure maybe Jordan there'd be probably less cost because you're only picking up once a week, but I know if looking at some trash cans around here, I don't think they'd last,
Yeah.
and stuff.
It's probably not worth
The trash cans are overflowing already at twice a week. Yeah. I don't have mine because it's just me and my wife, but yeah, you get families and stuff. Yeah.
Mr. Chandler.
Yeah, no, I don't have a particular answer for that.
Okay.
Once again, yeah. But I think your assessment is correct, Mr. Town Manager.
Any other public comment? All right. All those in favor of approving the waste management contract, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, unanimous. There you go.
Thank you.
Public comments, non-agenda items. Persons wishing to address the town council on a matter not listed on the agenda may speak at this time. Speakers must provide their name and address, observe a 3-minute time limit, and speak only after being recognized by the mayor. Molly, are any of these?
They're all agenda items.
All right. Any other non-agenda item people? All right, moving on. Public announcements. There are.
It's an agenda item.
There are openings on the following board and committees: Civil Service, Heritage Committee, and Parks, Recreation, and Beautification Committee. Mr. Chandler, you don't have to stay if you don't want.
Okay. It's raining out now. He doesn't want to leave yet. It's pouring.
Yeah. Consent agenda. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, pulling item 6 for just a couple questions.
All right.
If it's okay, I'd like to talk about number 3 briefly.
All right. So we'll pull.
I agree to that.
All right. So the motion is to approve, except for 3 and 6 for further discussion. Anything else? Is there a second?
I'll second. I'm sorry.
All right. Doug, you were first.
We can approve the consent unless the other one.
Oh, right, yeah. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda except for 3 and 6, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Unanimous.
So the item 6 is the federally funded grant agreement for about $111,000 to help offset the cost for a new generator for the fire department,
Yes, it's
which is end of life or past end of life and underpowered. It looked like we need to chip in about $37,000 out of the town budget.
about 25%, and that's going to include and the fire chief's been working on it, it's going to be going back, it's FEMA, so nothing goes fast. The effect of, you see, it's a 42-month process even
I
now.
did see that, yeah.
We've already looked at bringing in, we have gas on Fifth Avenue and stuff, natural gas, so we're gonna bring natural gas down. So it'll be available to the fire department, the generator will be run by natural gas, we don't have to worry about anything, so it'll be more sustainable and everything else. It's a 25% match, the grant is, so they're gonna cover all the cost of that, and we'll have the gas here in the future. If we upgrade our generator at all, it's available at Town Hall, because we'll pay for it to come in here. I'm hoping get Florida Gas to kind of give us a good deal.
Right,
on
and then the additional monies that the town has to contribute, would that be in this year's fiscal budget or next year's?
We have it in this year's. I put in money this year, more than that portion in case we had to buy one. But with this timeline, I don't know if we can get it done this fiscal year, so we might have to carry it over to next fiscal year. But yeah,
I
we've
just
had
wanna
it
know if
last,
an impact on this year's budget is being.
no, it won't have any impact. We had it on last year's budget. We carried it forward to this year's budget. This has been like a couple-year project, and like I said, it's FEMA.
Yeah, Mike was telling me we just got reimbursed from a 2017 FEMA claim.
Yeah.
So, any other questions from council? All right, we'll just wait and talk about 3. Carrie?
Okay, number 3 is reappointment of these boards, and I understand that these are automatic. I understand that these are also voluntary positions, and we really appreciate the town that gets involved in these boards because it helps the betterment of this town. I sat on the pension, the police, fire, and pension board for 4 years, and there were times that there were so many no-shows from a member on that board that there were times that we couldn't even get a quorum, and so we had to rearrange the meeting, and it was just non-compliance. So I saw that there was attached the attendance records on our agenda today, and so I did a little homework, and I looked at them all, and I guess my question to the council is, do we want someone on a board that is absent 13 out of 18 meetings in a 1-year period?
I think
Something that's just automatically renewed, I believe?
They generally get a letter that asks if they want to be renewed, and then that comes, if they check yes, then the town manager generally, I believe, if the process correctly, then that comes to the council for.
right, then it comes to us for approval.
But Doug, I think what she's saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, if these people are signing up to do this, even if they say, yeah, I want to do it again, but they haven't showed up the whole last year, why are we going forward with them?
No, you're correct. It's
That's
essentially up to them if they want to do it, and then we have the discretion of whether we accept or deny it.
Right. Well, I know
your
when
point.
Chief Flam was the fire chief, he actually sent a letter, because the year 2024, one particular member, and I was on that board, didn't show up for the whole year. And so, and I think at one time, when we had to vote on changes to the pension plan, a police officer had to be dispatched to their house. And Chief Flam sent a letter at that time and said, hey, you know, if you're going to be on this board, we need you to be on the board. And I think that solicited the next 2 meetings, tell me if I'm wrong, the next 2 meetings, and then never again. And then, of course, for this position, I had to resign the 2 boards that I was on. So I don't know what I'm asking, other than, you know, do we want to do this automatically, or do we want to find, you know, discover or get some assurances that you're going to do it, you're going to come?
I also noticed it. I'm glad you brought it to our attention. Having served on Parks and Rec, sometimes it does affect quorum, or they're not, you know, there is a frustration. So I know sometimes there's openings consistently, so sometimes if you have someone willing and there's no others, but I was going to ask if there are other applicants, perhaps we look at them as opposed to someone that has a 2-year history of only 2 meetings out of like 10, you know, so.
There is precedent of this previously on other councils that have not approved people because of their attendance.
Because of attendance. That's fair. There's an obligation when you sign up, that's the expectation. And so currently, we have a full quorum on the board? Because I'm not seeing any open announcement or open positions listed in.
This would be the full, yeah.
Okay, so it seems like it would be prudent to evaluate additional applications, to your point, Council.
I'll be honest, I don't know the list here. Did you have anybody in mind? on this list? Or are you just speaking in general, either one of you?
No, I wasn't speaking, I was speaking to my personal experience with the frustration of someone consistently not showing up, and it was problematic.
But short of going through each and every one of these here tonight in front of the
Well,
public.
Yeah, I didn't really want to do that either.
No, I know, I understand. So would the guidance be that we, to the town manager, or that we would approve these, and then going forward, look to be more, I'd say rigorous is maybe the right word, but more judicious in our review of their performance before we reappoint?
I wouldn't say performance, I'd say attendance.
Well, that's
Right.
sorry, attendance, yeah, we might call you.
If I could, I'm the chairperson of the Police and Fire Pension Board as of right now, and that's the board she was on as well.
Yeah.
The member who's about to be reappointed, I've been on it for almost 9 years. He's shown up to 4 meetings, probably in total. In 2024, we had an important thing that we needed to do. We actually did. We dispatched an officer to his house twice to go out there. So it's just, he doesn't show up to the meetings. I think he's shown up to 1 this year because we kind of told him he has to show up to them.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, I'm fine with pulling the application for approval, and it's not the same, we're going to deny it, it's just we wouldn't approve it, and then we'd hold it open for additional applications to be received, listing the position as open at the council meeting.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. I mean, I'm certainly not an advocate of kicking anyone off a board. I just want,
It needs
I think, to
an
reinforce that this is a commitment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I get it, it's a voluntary commitment, but,
Yeah.
you know, we're all up here on a voluntary basis.
I know last year, I think there was a Parks and Rec member who, she was snowbird. So she, obviously wasn't here. She would attend when she was, but because she was on the board or the committee, and when she wouldn't show up, obviously it made it harder for quorum, so.
Right.
The problem with the pension board too is we have people coming that we pay to come here and give reports, an attorney, and people
more.
from, Foster and Foster, they charge us travel time and everything, and we don't get quorum for some reason.
Right. Okay.
Attorney's fees.
All right, so is there a motion for item 3?
I'll do it.
I don't even know what to ask.
Okay, I mean, we can make motion to approve the 2 Board of Adjustment reappointments, the appointment for the Heritage Committee and the 2 Parks and Recs
I'll second.
appointments.
And Carrie seconded. All right, all those in favor of approving item number 3 as stated, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? All right.
Then I'll make the motion to approve the federally funded grant for the generator for the fire department.
All right,
I'll second that.
all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? All right. Ordinances and public hearings, none. Unfinished business, noise ordinance update. Matt, do you want to start this?
Sure. This is a continuation of the discussion we've had at the past few council meetings regarding the noise ordinance, pertaining both to the general noise ordinance and also to the special event for both private property and for public property. The direction of the board, I believe it was back in January or February, was to not necessarily draft a new ordinance, but to look at different options moving forward for these particular ordinances. And so what I've done here is drafted 3 separate ones. I know I provided this to everyone. I think it was on the dais at last meeting, so I know you didn't really have a chance to look at that. But these are the same ones from the February meeting. And none of this is carved in stone. We have been looking at redrafting these for various reasons to accommodate the town and the town's needs. And it's really just open for discussion tonight as to what direction we want to go in after you're considering it and hearing from the public.
Any comments from council?
I can start. I had hoped to talk to the chief, I know he's out, because I was going to ask him for his input on, and perhaps Sergeant or Lieutenant, whoever, you would have maybe his feedback on, did he read through the ordinances, and out of the three, did he have a preferable one?
I wish I could answer that, I don't know. We had a pretty serious case we were working on last week before he went on vacation.
Okay.
Did he take a suitcase? I just ask.
I do recall the chief earlier at previous meetings expressing an interest in going to the plainly audible standard as opposed to a decibel meter for various reasons.
Okay. So that would be the second?
Number 2 he didn't like.
Right, okay, okay.
Well, there's the first one, and then, I don't know, are the other two both, second one is decibel,
Second one is decibel.
Yeah, yeah.
and then I think the third one is a plainly audible standard. Yeah.
I guess my question to you guys would be, does anybody have a preference of these three? I like number 3 personally.
I like 3 too. It has some specifics, very specific times. So I like 3 the best out of all of these.
Acknowledged. So the question was, can we read 3? We can entertain that in a second. But I'll, if you want to do that, that's fine. You have.
It's pretty lengthy, so I'm not going to read it for.
Having read them all and compared them all, the 2, I'm in agreement with the chief in regards to this plainly audible standard, how we apply it, up for discussion. But my concern with item 2 is it's overly complicated. It's going to require a scorecard to keep track of who, what, when, where, based on the combinations. I realize that there were as ideation, so I'm saying I recognize it's an idea. So it's just it's a framework to start with. So my perspective, it needs to be simple enough that the whatever it is we arrive at, whether it's the same, what we have today or something different, it needs to be plainly administrable, to put a play on words. But it also needs to allow the clarity for the business and the residents to understand what it is, so that we're not trying to keep track of, is it how many times a week, this, that, and the other, or this combination or that combination. Recognize what we're trying to do, but I think if we get too complicated, it becomes a game of whack-a-mole. So I'm not in favor of necessarily calling out the types and combos. I recognize the attempt there. I prefer one-size-fits-all if possible on whatever that is. I know there's some discussion on the limit of how loud is loud during the permitted times. I also wanted to just, I got the mic for a second. I won't drone on for much longer. I would prefer to see the hours for the C, the C1, the C2, the SC, and the TB consistent. The town's small enough that I think they can be consistent. I know when we're looking at hours that we had some Monday through Friday. I think Monday through Thursday can be a little bit tighter, but I think Friday and Saturday can be consistent, but we can call it good at 9 p.m. If you drive around here at 9:30 at night, it's pretty quiet. So, and then Sunday, of course, is fine. So I think if we keep the hours the same across the segments, it makes it simpler to understand, because ultimately, across the street from C is T, so on and so forth, and you can easily see one going and affecting the other. So those are my at least my initial ones, and then we'll save discussion for special permits and events for later. But
So in the C zone, would you be agreeable to Friday and Saturday until 9 p.m.?
I think so. I think 9 p.m. on a Saturday, especially a Friday and Saturday, is reasonable for the town if you go out and about. And maybe certain sections of the town are a little more quieter at that time. But at the end of the day, if we were looking to put cast a broad net, that would be appropriate, I think. I think 10 o'clock's just pushing it. I don't think it's necessary, especially this is primarily for outdoor, right? This is not an indoor. Indoor's different.
Right.
This is outdoor.
And still with a clear vision of it not being like obnoxiously loud anyway. And I don't know if how we feel about the language clarifying that.
Yeah,
I mean, I think As long as it does, I'm not a lawyer, so when I read this, it's,
Yeah, what I tried to do was, because there were portions of the old ordinance, or the current ordinance, I should say, that uses a lot of subjective language, like obnoxious or irritating, and that's just, to me, it just seems so subjective that it seemed like if it's plainly audible for a certain period of time, or it just seemed like an easier standard, and then to carve out exceptions to that was kind of the better way to do it. So we start from the standpoint of, is there noise that's plainly audible, and then we carve out exceptions rather than saying, well, is this noise that's offensive or irritating or a nuisance, and it's, it's so hard, it's so subjective. That was my thought.
another question, the email we got today from the blue lawyer saying that it was unconstitutional.
No, many municipalities use the plainly audible standard. Yeah, and I don't recall who was at the code enforcement hearing, but there were a lot of arguments made by that attorney that were incorrect at that hearing.
Gotcha.
Gary, any input?
I agree 100% of what Doug said, and I like the consistency of the ordinance times. And I also agree that I liked number 3 the best. Number 2, I took off right from the jump because I knew that Chief Connor in a previous council meeting had said there's a problem with decibel reading, the equipment, if the equipment fails, which I think was more often than not, as I recall him saying, that then you've got no point of reference. So I think our police officers are good stewards of our town, and they understand what a noise violation is. So.
Interestingly, yeah, Mike and Matt and I, we had a meeting with a couple of residents, and one of them is, he's the code enforcement officer for the city of Melbourne. And you would think, oh, he'd be in favor of the decibel. Here, he's not, so because, in Melbourne or bigger cities that have full-time code enforcement, that's their job. They're the ones that are calibrated and know how to do the decibel meter, where police officers, it's, code enforcement's kind of secondary. So the decibel, although it is completely objective, isn't the best fit for us.
But it's hard to enforce. I mean, you look outside right now, there's no way you could use any kind of decibel meter and build any kind of solid case.
Yeah.
And we get this a lot.
Yeah, they have procedures, I guess, but they take a 5-minute average, but it's a moot point anyway, so. All right, so it sounds like we want to move forward with option 3, refine it a little bit.
It would come back for another reading to make sure that.
Yeah, because this isn't in ordinance form yet.
Yeah,
so.
because this isn't even the first reading for.
Okay, yeah, that's
Because
what I
this is just a
understand.
draft.
We're getting,
It'd have to go to advertise, zoning and planning, and then council twice.
So Matt, did you take diligent notes during this discussion?
Yeah.
Or do you want us to
I
email
think so.
some ideas?
Yeah, I think maybe an email would be good. My understanding is that it's the council's leaning toward the third version of it. Although the vice mayor expressed some concern with some of the carve outs as to, is it a single amplified musical instrument? Is it a live band? Is a live band consisting of more than so many people? And I understand that concern. I don't know if everyone else has that concern, that we want to temper that down so it's more consistent and perhaps more easy to enforce, or do we kind of like it the way it is?
Interestingly, in the I'm modern, right? So I put into ChatGPT, see how it could be exploited.
Yes.
And obviously that is ChatGPT, which needs to be taken with a grain of salt. But one of the things that it mentioned was it was basically like you could have a single singer with an amp and then a backing track. You know what I mean? So now that's actually more than a singer, and so there's easier way, or there's better ways to maybe address that. But yeah.
Did you have any thoughts on how you'd better like to address that then?
No, that's why we pay you.
Okay, all right. But so that's something to consider. And,
Yeah, yeah.
and how to, yeah.
And I sent this to you, but
Yeah.
It's in your email.
Yeah, and my read on that with the different 3 carve-outs, one was for acoustic only, essentially, one was for, with a microphone, was acoustic single person, and another one was a carve-out for a band, a live band. So my perspective on that is, would be going the other way. Rather than to say that you can do this or this or this, it would be you can do something that creates a noise during these hours, that's acceptable to this level. That's a deal, whether it's a band of 4 people that happen to be quiet singers, or if it's a single guy with a guitar that has an amplifier. I think it complicates it, and it starts to get into that, well, how many times a week have they had a guy with an amp and a microphone versus how many times have they had a guy with just a guitar and singing?
That came up actually in ChatGPT. You could start stacking, it's like, well, there's this exemption for a day, that exemption, so.
Yeah. So that's my concern is differentiating between, I get why the discussion, so I'm happy to have the discussion. I'd rather have the discussion now. And then on top of that, it's okay, how many times a week? And so, again, if we get to one of the objectives of this, at least in my mind, is if we define this well enough that it allows the kind of activity that the residents and the council desire and find acceptable, that we don't need to issue a special permit for those type of activities. And then with special event permit now becomes just what the title says it is.
Right.
Rather than a monthly occurrence or something like that, whereby that business owner or proprietor is required to apply for that just because there's nothing allowed per se.
Well, and it's interesting you bring that up about the special event permit, because in the redrafted special event permit for private property, one of the conditions is, in addition to the name, the zoning district, what you're going to do, is one of the factors is the reason why the property owner cannot conduct the applied for event pursuant to the hours of operation and days of operation that are already in the statute.
Right.
Or in the ordinance, rather. So, why do you need a special event permit when, we're giving you specific times that you can have these events? So that's a factor to consider in a special event permit. Yeah.
All right. Mike, do you have any input?
No.
All right. So Matt, do you have any other questions, direction from us?
Is the direction to take draft 3 and prepare it in the form of a proposed ordinance for a first reading?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other comments from council? All right, we'll go to public comment, even though it's not a vote. I have Robert Hannigan wants to talk about Casa Bonita. Who's Robert Hannigan? All right. And before you get going, are you talking about outdoor activities or noise?
Pardon?
Are you talking about outdoor activities or noise at Casa Bonita?
About both.
Okay.
So my name is Robert Hannigan. I live at 340 4th Avenue.
Yeah, speak up to the microphone, please. Thank you.
And what I would like to say is I really appreciate when Casa Bonita has got people there. There's activity. It makes me feel like the town is alive. When they're not open there, I feel like the town's kind of dead, especially up at that end of the street. And I fully support everything they do there and like seeing their business in my town. That's it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Peggy Olson.
I thought I came in late, I thought I would be
Oh,
more to the bottom of
no.
the pile, so, oh no. Thank you all for.
Name and address.
testimony. Peggy Olson, 290 Paradise Boulevard, Unit 3. We've been here 15 years, something like that. And to agree with what the gentleman just said, Casa Bonita has been the first place that made me feel like I was in a community. I know. So I really, it makes you feel alive. We can bike to it. We bring friends there. It has really been a community, and you're looking for volunteers and people to be involved. They got me to come here today. I mean, they didn't ask me to, but I asked if I could. And then, who knows, maybe I'll volunteer for after I'm stronger with their Pilates and yoga. That's it.
Thank you. Miss Bridget Peters.
Hi, I'm Bridget Perez. I live at 441, it's Perez, that's okay.
Oh,
Like
sorry.
Sarah Perez, that's okay. I live at 441 3rd Avenue, so my house backs up behind the school and right behind Casa Bonita. I'd like to say that I'm 100% in favor of of the business. I love going there. I go over there at least once a week to have coffee. My kids, I raised 5 kids here locally, went to Indialantic, Hoover, Melhigh. I've lived beachside pretty much most of my adult life. And I also feel like it has brought a new, almost like a Mayberry feeling to Indialantic, where I used to not be able to really have a whole lot of things for people to do. Now my family comes over, my friends drive all the way down from St. Augustine to see the farmer's market, and I have a school right behind me, and every day I hear the kids playing. They toss their basketballs over. I don't mind the noise. I love hearing kids outside. So I'm just saying that as someone that lives literally directly behind her business, their business, it's never bothered me. The music's never kept me up or been an inconvenience to me. So I fully support them staying open and being able to have music and carry on.
Okay, thank you. So just so everybody's clear, we're not trying to shut down any business. We're just trying to get the businesses into compliance and or change the rules so that they are in compliance.
Yeah, and also just to clarify that this ordinance is town-wide and for all the zones in the ordinance. It's not pertaining to any one particular business.
Carly.
I guess they came. Carly Senegoy, 113 Franklin Ave. I do like the Friday and Saturday 9 o'clock. I think that that would work for the town. I don't think that that's too early or too late. I can understand that 10 p.m. might be pushing it, like you said. So I'm in favor for the 9 p.m. I think maybe on Sunday, if I read it right, you were saying 4:30. You're going to end the music, is that right?
It was, I mean, it's open for
Open.
discussion. Yeah.
I think maybe more like 6, if I can suggest a time, would be better. And what else? I think we're on the right track, and I want to thank you guys so much for opening up a conversation that's needed, and clearly the town thinks so too. So thank you.
Thank you. Sherry.
Sherry Ledoux, 419 3rd Avenue. First, I have a comment regarding the request to discuss allowing businesses in the business zones to provide amplified music within reasonable ambient volumes that would not be disruptive to neighboring properties. Please remember 2 things. There are residences in the RP and R1B zones that are directly across the street from C and C1 zone businesses. So please put yourself in their shoes and ask if you would want businesses playing amplified music across the street from your home. And also, the word disruptive is subjective. What may not be disruptive to one person may be disruptive to another. And second, I haven't heard this yet. I may be getting ahead of you, but I'd like to ask that when you do approve a noise ordinance, will there be a sequence of progressive violations and consequences so any offending party will be held accountable?
I think that would just fall into the normal code enforcement process, however they decide if they want to give a verbal warning or immediately a written, a formal warning. So.
Just didn't want it to be a cycle where nothing really ever.
Yeah, and that would obviously be up to the discretion of the code enforcement, whoever's doing it, whether IPD or whatever. And,
And Mr. Mayor, they can call law enforcement anytime there's a noise complaint. I mean, they can.
No, I know that. I just didn't want it to never come to a conclusion.
If it's that big a problem, then call.
Oh, I understand. Believe me, I do.
all right. Thank you.
And the penalties for a code violation pursuant to this new ordinance, they're not changed by this. They're still the same as the prior or the current ordinance.
All right, Carla.
Hi, I'm Carla Rodiger, 601 North Miramar, Unit 302. Hi, everybody. I think you had a chance to read my emails, but I just want to say them out loud. I'm glad that you're eliminating the need for multiple warnings before a citation can be issued. And just to let you know, the tourist zone is not 100% tourist and should not be treated that way. It's not a commercial entertainment district. A large percentage of us is residential. So I'm asking to use the same guidelines you use in C, C1, and C2 zones in the tourist zone. Right now, on the noise ordinance proposal, it states that they can have music for a period of 2 consecutive hours. I'd like to ask that you add the words, is allowed within 24-hour periods. I'm fearful that without that, a band could get up there and play, take a break, and then come back on and play again, and then take another break and come back on and play again. So I'm asking that you add that wording to 2 hours within the 24-hour period. I know you said the special permit isn't going to be talked about right now, so should I not talk about that, or should I?
I think that will be part of the ordinance, or may not be part of the ordinance, depending on how it's crafted from what it sounded like, correct?
The special events?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's included for both private and public property in the draft. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so then I will talk about it. So to me, special means holidays, birthdays, anniversaries. The dictionary says something distinct from the ordinary, exceptional. So once a month is not special. So if you guys could please not allow special events to be a monthly occurrence. If they do provide enough information to have a special event, I'd like you to add the wording that it's for one day, not an entire weekend, that they don't have a special event that lasts for 3 days. Or they could have a 3-day event, but only have the noise ordinance and the noise level be contained for 1 day. So they could have a 3-day weekend event, but only have the music for one of the days. So if you could add that wording to limit the noise to 1 day. Also to limit the number of hours that amplified music can be played at their special event. As of right now, there's no time frame on it. So someone could take advantage of that and play music, the whole morning, noon, and night. So if you could add a limit to the time that they can play music at their special event. And then lastly, there's no volume limit on the special event code, I guess. So if you could add that to the wording, that way they can't interpret it to their own advantage. So I thank you if you could think about that and add some of that wording to the proposal.
Thank you.
And I would just add for the private, the special event on private property, as it reads now, it is once every calendar month. And for a special event on public property, it's once every 180 days, so twice a year. And as part of the application, the proposed ordinance would provide that the applicant has to, for a special event, has to provide the hours of operation and on the day of that proposed special event. Because I think her concern was, are they going to blare music for 24 hours a day? And so part of the application is during what hours during that day.
And is there an issue with constitutionality as far as approving or not approving based on the time? I mean,
No, because I think the way it's written, or the way it's proposed to be written, has a number of factors. And so it's not something that's just arbitrary. Because I think what you might be talking about is the case that was brought up when we had the code enforcement hearing by the other attorney. And that was an old case from 1947, and the issue was the town manager or the police chief just could choose whether or not to have a special event. There were no factors to consider, and here we have a whole list of A through G factors to consider.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. How many noise complaints have you called in the last month?
How many have I had?
Yes, ma'am.
It's been a very quiet month, so none this
So you
month.
haven't called in any this month?
No,
All right,
no, I
thank you.
haven't, sir.
All right.
I just have
Thank
one
you.
comment. When someone applies for a special event, and if they, like, say, for example, the Long Doggers Bash at Nance Park, if they end it at the time that the ordinance, the noise ordinance is 10, like on Saturday, it ends at 10 p.m. Am I correct in that assumption?
I'm not exactly sure what you're asking.
They can be granted an exemption or an extended hours if it's part of the special event permit, but it has to be approved by the council.
Okay.
that exception.
Have they ever gone over 10 PM?
Maybe 11 when they did the FIT bash, but I don't recall exactly.
'Cause it's a Saturday, so it's.
Right, for sure. And
Yeah,
it was a
sometimes they
special
weren't shut
event
down
once
at
a year.
10:30 or so.
Right.
But we don't have to worry about that because they've outgrown our size venue here.
Somebody else will come.
Right, I was just using it as an example. I was just trying to think of a scenario where someone would say, we're going to end at 10, and then would continue on, that,
That's the whole, I mean, that's one of the reasons you can apply for a permit is so that you can have an exception to the rule
Right.
for that particular thing.
Right.
And the parameters have to be defined and agreed to, here, too,
Yeah.
earlier discussion.
thank you.
Right.
So I just have no problem with that. That's fine to have those permits once, a year or whenever they do it. I'm
We
just
have a
worried.
3-minute time limit, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I would just add too, that there is a provision in this draft, as there is in the current ordinance, that if it creates a public nuisance, that the permit can be revoked by the police chief or the town manager. Yeah.
Jim Seaton.
Jim Seaton, 601 North Miramar. One of the things that I recall the chief saying the last time was that he wasn't in favor of the third proposal because he didn't want to have to walk onto properties and try to figure out, is it one person with an acoustic, is it a four-person band, or whatever. So that's what I remember from his. So I think Doug's point of noise is noise, regulate that. I think there's some very positive aspects of the proposed new noise ordinance. I'm mainly talking about 1 and 3 that are very similar in wording. It includes the simplification of the wording of clearly audible, so there's less subjectivity by police officers, as well as greater protection from nuisances at neighboring properties. Another positive is the elimination of the requirement for the multiple warnings, like every other ordinance around here. However, there's some sections I think that need some clarification and adjustments. And one of those is that the wording, to me, is unclear and ambiguous when you talk about consecutive hours. You're allowed 2 consecutive hours. I think what the council is aiming for is that no more than 1 session of music is allowed within the chosen 24-hour period, and such sessions shall not exceed 2 hours in length. Not that you can have multiple 2-hour sessions. Is that what we're aiming at here?
Yeah, that's the intent of it, and that was brought up by the prior speaker as well, and I think that's something that can be tweaked a little bit to make it clearer.
You know, our area is a tourist zone, and as Carl has pointed out, it's mainly residential homes that live there. I mean, we're a majority of homesteaded residents. We're not the entertainment district for the town just because the word tourist is used. So 2 times a week for music, I think is too much for a neighborhood like ours. So maybe 2 times a month instead of 2 times a week. And so I'd ask you to consider that. But of all the parts of the ordinance proposals, the one on the permit for use of sound amplifying equipment for a special event on private property is the one that I think needs the most work. First of all, I think once a month doesn't make it a special event. It's a regular event once a month. So something more like twice a year, like the public property. And there needs to be wording that the music associated with a special event is limited. If they apply for a 3-day special event, they shouldn't be allowed to blast music from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. on 3 days in a row. So I think there needs to be some limitations and restrictions, something more like 3 or 4 hours of music.
We've reached the
Yep. It's okay. You gonna wrap it up?
Okay. And lastly, I think there needs to be a limit on the noise. The last time there was a special event in our neighborhood, there were 7 phone calls
Mr. Mayor,
made.
are we going to allow every speaker to hijack this podium?
He's finishing his
He
thoughts.
hijacks this podium every meeting.
I was
John.
interrupted, and Mr. Remenda took some of my time.
That is a valid point.
John, I know you don't like me, but just, I'll finish up here real quick.
You know absolutely nothing about me. Wrap it up.
There needs to be a limit on the volume of noise. During the last special event. There were 7 phone calls made to the police department.
This doesn't sound like a wrap-up to me.
John,
This sounds like
John,
diarrhea of the mouth.
John.
Let's go.
There were 7 phone calls made, and basically what the answer we got from the police department was, well, they have a special permit, they can make all the noise they want. So what I would beg you to do is put something in the special permit that is a limit on how loud the noise can be. Something like 300 feet for the audible standard and stuff.
Okay.
Or 400 feet.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Clayton.
Me and my wife Penny have lived around here.
Name and address, please.
Is that better? About 10 years, on and
Yeah,
off.
we'll need your name and address.
I'm Clayton Crevier. I live at 290 Paradise Boulevard, just about a mile down the road. We've been coming here for the last 3 months. I'm originally from South Dakota, and I retired about a year and a half ago. And the place really brings a great ambiance, and it's like the lady and the gentleman said, and it's like coming home to grandma's house or Mayberry RFD. And as far as noise and everything else, I don't really see, that as being a problem. But, the other thing is you guys have a responsibility. You're going to make the ultimate choice. And, and it's like our founding fathers, when they wrote the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. And, I know there's a fine line there, but just keep that in mind, because you all have a responsibility, and I understand you're voted, but as far as presence, it really brings something to the community. I know I was a pilot, I've told pilots, they come from all over the country to come here about this place, so just keep that in mind. So,
All right. Thank you. Maddie Wainwright.
Good evening, Maddie Wainwright, 3045 Clear Lake Drive, Apartment 6. I'd like to speak to my personal experience on behalf of the noise ordinance and the restriction of outdoor business activities as it pertains to Casa Bonita. I understand we're not looking to shut down businesses, but if businesses can't operate as they were intended, it does affect the business as a whole. Forgive me for reading from my phone, but a little over a year ago, I met Carly and the team there, and for lack of better terms, the space changed my life, coming off of a cross-country move from Wisconsin to our beautiful Space Coast. Casa Bonita is not just a business, it's a gathering place. It's where neighbors run into each other over coffee in the morning or share a glass of wine in the evening, where people celebrate birthdays, babies, weddings, or just listen to local music and spend time together. Those special events are happening in people's lives all the time, and the fact that so many people want to choose Casa Bonita to host them speaks volumes. Within one space, Casa Bonita brings together a boutique, a wine bar, a salon, a coffee shop, and a beautiful outdoor yard where the community and local makers and businesses alike can all gather. It has created something that so many towns wish they had, a place where people actually connect. The outdoor space is essential to that vision. The events, the music, and even the simple act of sitting outside together are what make it feel alive. Recently, restrictions on outdoor seating, music, and events have made it increasingly difficult for Casa Bonita to continue operating the way it was intended. And the reality is, without the ability to use that space, the community element that makes Casa Bonita so special disappears. I know I'm not alone when I say this. The people in this town love Casa Bonita. It has become a place where community happens naturally. So my hope is that the council will consider ways to support not only Casa Bonita, but all businesses in our beautiful area like this that are actively building connection, culture, and local life. Because spaces like Casa Bonita don't just appear everywhere, they are rare, and once they're gone, communities feel that loss, and I know our community would feel that loss. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. We have Penny. Is there a Penny?
Hi there. I'm Penny Crevier, 290 Paradise Boulevard. I just want to say that Casa Bonita Cowboy Coffee is a very unique place. It's a casual place, it's a relaxing place, and most of all, it's cozy. It's not like Starbucks, it's not like any place else. And my husband and I sometimes go there 5 or 6 times a week. And I've lived in this area off and on for years, decades, and I've never, ever been any place in this town or the surrounding area and met so many people. I mean, it's true. It's a place where everybody knows your name. And I don't see very many people. I mean, we're all into technology, but people talk there. They talk to each other. They bring their families. You know, young mothers come together, and they come in their buggies, sometimes, you know, a lot at a time. So it's a multi-generational place. Now, as far as the noise factor, I've been there when they've had a musician, and they're 5 feet away, and they're singing love songs or pop, you know, songs that everyone likes. Like if you're 5 feet away and it's not bothering you and you're enjoying your coffee, I don't see the noise factor. As far as people doing Pilates in the yard or something like that, they don't have music. You can't even hear the instructor when they're there. And you're just having your coffee and things are just going on. And in fact, I met my cousin there. She came from the West Coast. She was turning 18, and she was there with her friends. So, I mean, I didn't want to bother her because, you know, I'm older. So it's a thing, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying it's for families. It's for every generation. I mean, it's great. I love it.
Thank you. And Kitty, last one.
Hello, Kitty Lowe, 411 3rd Avenue, Indialantic, Florida. I'm not here to trash Casa Bonito or say yay or nay. I've been in my house for 25 years, and I like businesses like that. I don't know that I've never called to complain about that or anything, and I don't know that I plan on it. I do not understand how somebody can buy a business that also says no outside activity, but that's what happens. So now the ordinances are going to change, and that's fine. I just want them to realize that there are people that do live close by and don't wish you any harm or not harm, ill will, or, you know, nobody's trying to close your business. We just want structure and some kind of peace at, you know, time of day that's correct, time of evening that's correct, because we work still, and we just want to have peace, and we're not trying to do anything to harm that business. I know I know a lot of people that go there. I don't go there myself because I don't drink coffee and I don't drink wine. But I wish you all the luck, but I'm just really beware that there's people that live near there, and we've already got some other things going on. But,
Okay.
yeah, all right.
Thank you. All right. Moving on, we have continued discussion, item D2, continued discussion, restriction of outdoor business activities, sections.
I had submitted a to speak on this matter.
Is it outdoor activities? Yes. Okay, that's coming up. The outdoor activities, yeah. That's what we're going to be talking about right now. Restriction of outdoor business activities, sections 133-336, zones C and C1. Matt, did you want to start?
Sure. This was another item that was brought up by the town council at the last couple meetings, and the direction at the February meeting, or the March meeting rather, was to do something similar to what was done with the noise ordinance, which was not to necessarily prepare a formal ordinance for a first reading, but to go through and amend the prohibition or the possible revocation of the prohibition on outdoor business activities in C and C1 districts. And so what I did was, and that's included in the packet, was instead of, as I did before, do different drafts, I just included various different possible new versions in subsection GG. The first one just keeps the outdoor business activities. The second one, which was another part that we discussed at the last meeting just eliminates the prohibition on outdoor business activities. And part of the discussion with that was, well, even if you eliminate that, they still have to comply with the noise ordinances and other nuisance issues. The third one provides that outdoor business activities are prohibited unless, one, the outdoor, you want me to read these or just sort of summarize them?
You just summarize.
Yeah, so, and it put conditions such as that it has to be in an enclosed outdoor area, such as a courtyard or fenced-in area, and I think this was something that came up at the last meeting that was important to everyone, was that the outdoor business activity has to be directly related to the type of business as opposed to just something random that you're doing out there. And as we go through the other 4 iterations, it's very similar to that. Some just have more conditions on them, such as the business activity is prohibited unless it's in an enclosed area, like a courtyard or fenced-in area, that is directly related, and that it can't be in a parking lot or other parking area. And then there's another one that provides all of that, as well as the fact that they still have to be in compliance with the noise ordinances. And that's essentially it. There's just various different options for how the council wants to move forward with this.
Doug, any comment?
Yes. So, in all of these, and I don't think I think it's the right intention, how we do it, up for debate. Be careful when we tie an outdoor use to the type of business. If you go through all of the permitted uses that are explicitly called out in the C1 or C zone, imagine if that business expanded to the courtyard that's adjacent to their business, such as a hardware store, such as a bait and tackle shop. They're not, by generalizing it, which is the right way to write code, we are not prohibiting the uses that we don't want, right? So we would need to craft the intended use in a way that's consistent with how we want it to be, more so than just tying it back to the business activities that are already in existence. And by doing so, is it a chicken or the egg thing? Do you have to open a business and establish what that business is and then open an outdoor? Or do you just have you say your business is this, you have a bookshelf that's a bookstore, and then you have an outdoor area that's 10 times the area of the indoor activity, for an example. So that's my concern, broadly speaking, as we look to roll this, consider rolling this out in terms of, if we're doing an outdoor physical activity, classes, what have you, art, physical activities, we could end up with a scenario where we have just up the road where we have outdoor activities that are questionable in terms of allegedly questionable in terms of whether they're adjacent to the business or not, and whether they're impinging upon the peace and quiet of the neighbors. In addition, I think we need to consider how that would affect the appearance of the business, of the property affected by it. So the aesthetic of it, not just the noise. We still, obviously, we desire something that would be nice looking, right? We don't want junk in the yard, so to speak. If they were to, let a business spill out into the open space. So those are my primary concerns. I do like, or would consider, I guess, if we were to, I could see the other side of this argument already, though, if you were to put stipulations, hours of operation stipulations on that outdoor activity, but then the minute you do that, if you have a restaurant or an outdoor activity, which is really, I think, from a residential standpoint, what the residents and council would probably be looking to craft, would be an opportunity for residents to enjoy the outdoors by participating in businesses such as coffee shops, cafes, or other purveyors of fine goods and beverages in the evening hours when they're home from work or afterwards. So how we craft that, I think, is important, and if we tie it back to business, I think that's key, but how do we make sure that it's only permitting the business uses that we want and intend to, and not open it up for Pandora's box? Thank you.
Do you have a preference on the suggestions?
Can I just interject a little bit on that one?
Yeah.
One of the things is, they have a BTR, business tax license, and they're doing, for this business, they're a restaurant inside, but then they're doing, they could open a barber shop outside without permits, and they're just doing this. So we've got to be careful to limit, because the situation is we have no control. If they don't have any guardrails on it,
Mm-hmm.
they're just opening multiple businesses and, you know, I have a BTR for this.
So
but
what's
I'm doing
the, yeah,
20
what's
other
the, what's
things.
the threshold for getting a BTR business tax receipt? I forget what that stands for exactly, but it's a business license effectively.
For registered businesses, yeah.
So what's the hurdle for that? If, you know, if I have a building, could I open 6 different businesses in that single office space? And one of those happens to be a cafe that I really only have seating for outside.
Yeah, without getting into specifics, that one of the businesses we're talking about does have multiple licenses, but they don't have like a license for events and things like that, or.
Fair enough.
Or, you know, farmers markets and things. So it's where do we?
Yep.
Yeah, so kind of one of those things, I mean.
It's not what we know, it's what we don't know, is that I'm trying to think.
Correct, that's what I'm,
So.
you know, we're in, yeah, the situation up the road, we've got some answers for that, hopefully.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Mr. Mayor, I think that, you know, that including the worrying about the fact that the noise ordinance still applies and some of the other things is nice. By default, that automatically does. But, I mean, words are cheap in the sense of we can print them in the ordinance, that's easy.
Good. John?
I'm good.
Carrie?
I'm good.
Julie?
Of the choices, I like the third one. Outdoor business activities are prohibited unless the outdoor business activities occur within an enclosed outdoor area on the property, such as a courtyard or fenced-in yard. Such outdoor business activities are directly related to the type of business being operated at the location. Under no circumstances may outdoor business activities be conducted at any time in the parking lot or other parking area. Such outdoor business activities remain subject to and comply with all the other provisions of the town's code of ordinances, including but not limited to the noise ordinances contained in section 22, blah, blah, blah. I like this one because we discussed you know, unique locations that do have an enclosed courtyard area. I think they're for now, I know to Doug's comment, I mean, that could change. But that would prevent a parking lot, you know, thing going on, you know, like I think you said Chase Bank might have a party
Yeah, I
out
think that was the discussion at the last
there.
meeting.
But that would have been, of these choices, I like that one.
Okay. Public comment. We have Mr. Soto.
Good evening. I am Dr. Jose Soto. I live at 290 Paradise Boulevard, Unit Number 3. I've been a resident of this community since 2010. I'm retired, going on 3 years now, and really trying to integrate my retirement into this community. And with that, my wife and I, Peggy Olson, have been very active in trying to find places in the community where we like to spend our money, spend our time, and meet people. And the concept that I'm sold on is what's called third spaces. And that is, we know we got our home, a lot of activities there, at work, but then you go out in the community and there's these community spots. Could be a cafe, could be a coffee shop, could be a boutique, and all of a sudden it becomes a place not just to do business, but to commune, to create community, intergenerational activities, family activities. And my fear is that to appease, and rightfully so, I'm gonna say it, appease a few folks, we're gonna create an ordinance, a structure that will just inhibit those types of third spaces in this community. If they were popping up all over, I think I would be one of the first to say, whoa, whoa, something's happening here. But that's not what we're talking about with Casa Bonita. And as an attorney, and I'm a law school graduate as well, we know that ordinances, laws work as social
constraints, the more you open and allow things to, things open up, businesses flourish. The more you restrict the activity, the place, time, and manner, you're killing it. One of the examples that I think everyone can relate to is our movement westward. The biggest nuisance were railroads. Had it not been the changes in the laws that opened up, that really said, yes, it's a nuisance, but it's a necessary nuisance because the outcome is good. And I would just beseech you to continue gathering input. I'm sure there are other members of this community who have a lot to say about this, but maybe don't feel welcome in this setting. So I would just say, find a way to balance the, see, now you got my stutter going, man. Come on, brother.
Oh, you're out of time, sir.
No,
You're out of
yeah,
time.
and this other gentleman had a little, about 15, 20, 30 seconds, but I am finishing up, and I appreciate the courtesy. I think this is a real opportunity to allow some women entrepreneurs in this community to create something that we can all be proud of, enjoy, and utilize as one of our third spaces in Indialantic. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have Michael Hernandez.
It's Michael Hernandez, 424 Rio Villa Boulevard. So a lot's been said about the noise already, so I won't talk to that. But I will say for the outdoor activities, I would echo what the gentleman previous to me said. That's really an important part of the community building aspect that we see here. And I think we could all agree there's probably a good standard for stuff that's unsightly that the community doesn't want seen. And we talked about the noise, and you're working on that. You also alluded to having control over what businesses do. Are you a bookstore running a barber shop, or you decide to run an auto parts or an auto repair station in your courtyard? That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about here is a beautiful thing. And what I'd like to offer is, in the effort to draft language that's all-inclusive to potentially future problems down the road, we don't kill something that's really well and working in this community. So if it were up to me, and it's up to you, I would rather see something that allows this business to operate the way it is, that's meaningful to our community. And if we do come up with somebody that decides to open up a sheet metal foundry in their barbershop parking lot, then we deal with that when we get there. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Logan, England.
Good evening, Logan, England, 1901 River Shore Drive. I'm actually going to be reading on the behalf of a local mother of three who wasn't able to make it, but this resonates with me, and I think probably a lot of the people I came here with. A little redundant, but you know, I don't think we can hammer it in any harder, and we need to. Casa Bonita is a vital and beautiful, unique part of our community. Hardly a day goes by where I don't hear at least how beautiful our space is, how great it is, how many new people I've met, how cool the co-op concept is, or how welcome people feel. I've been blessed to be a part of wedding parties, baby showers, rehearsal dinners, networking groups, and so much more within our walls in our garden space. We actively promote and collaborate with no less than a dozen other local small businesses and entrepreneurs. And I see the benefits of these opportunities play out in real time, people growing their businesses, people doing more events, people networking with other people and collaborating more. And every dollar spent at Casa Bonita and all the businesses that we house, because there are several, as was brought up, it puts food in the mouths of quite a few people, people that we all love, people that we know. And it allows, the events allow individuals and families and businesses to thrive. We build relationships, we're building memories, And we're all just hoping that you consider, and again, it's been said that nobody's trying to shut down the business, but if the collar around our neck gets a little bit tighter, it could be problematic for the business. And we're just hoping that you'll consider being a partnership that supports our success and what the community is doing, because it's not just a business, the community is making CASA happen, and CASA is making community happen. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And the last one, Brian Buckley.
Hi, good evening. My name is Brian Buckley. I live at 1901 River Shore Drive. And I was a small business person here in Indialantic I leased office space here for 15 years, and at the other end across from Skewers and all that. But I watched the beauty salon go out of business, and it sat in disrepair. And I've watched, what the Casa Bonita has done with that property. And we have been involved with soft openings. We've been to several courtyard parties there. Many times we take family there and friends to gather to, it's a relaxing place. And I think it's something that you see the complexion of the area kind of changing. It's a little more family friendly. It's a walkable community. And that's really, the C1 zoning is really all about helping entrepreneurs, trying to create a walkable neighborhood, try to create, businesses that are, not hard industries or anything like that. So what I'm asking is that you all have some leniency to make sure that the entrepreneurs can thrive in this area and have this opportunity to bring people together and, look at beyond Casa Bonita, look at Indy Yard, look at some of the other small businesses in the area, and make sure that everybody has an opportunity to be successful. And I think it's going to benefit the neighborhood, the community at large. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Matt, what do you need from us?
Just some direction as to whether or not you want me to draft one of these into a proposed ordinance for a first reading, or?
I'm good with Julie's suggestion, the third one. Carrie, do you have an opinion, or John, or Doug?
I would like, if you guys are agreeable to go forward. I don't know, Doug, you might be the only one that has.
No, I do like 3. You pointed out with the specificity of some of the language in that write-up. I would perhaps ask if we can somehow frame the intended or permitted use within that space, while it be consistent with the business use, that type of business that is permitted to be outside is characterized in such nature that is consistent with how we intend to be used, rather than just broadly apply it to what's the permitted business use within the C zone, right?
Right, but it does say that such outdoor business activities are directly related to the type of business being operated. So if that type of business is already acceptable,
I understand, but in the C zone, this is just for reference, folks, permitted use is a 10-cent store.
A who?
If you look up in the C zone, a permitted use is a 10-cent store, which I guess back in the day would now be called the Dollar General.
I don't think with inflation we're going to have that problem.
It stopped me for a minute the other night when I was looking at it. So there are some,
Maybe a
let's just say
$10
there are
store.
some interesting permitted uses in the permitted uses list. So I would prefer that we be prescriptive with a broad net of what we intend it to be for, which in this broader conversation involving the community is, cafes, outdoor recreational activities that are obviously compliant with the noise ordinance. Perhaps, I wasn't even aware there's a farmer's market there, but something of that nature. I'm not against those things. I just would like to be prescriptive in how we define that space, use of that space, so that it's consistent with what we as a community are envisioning.
Sure.
Rather than just throw it open to everything on the permitted list.
So did you want to send some language to Matt, or that you're?
Yeah, I can work on it. Obviously, Matt can work on it in terms of just what we can use to improve the GG section, right? In terms of permitted use, option 3.
Okay.
All right. Moving on. Unfinished business. Approve Ottinger Legal to provide for a code enforcement magistrate. Is that or Mike?
This is Mike, I think.
Mike?
Yeah.
Magistrate.
Magistrate thing. We put an RFP up, we're moving magistrate for our, replacing our code board. We received 2 only. One was out of Miami, and then the other one was with Kristen. And the one out of Miami was almost $500 an hour, a lot more, and Kristen came in a lot more reasonable. Oh, wait a second.
Mass exodus.
Kristen was our previous town attorney. You guys should be familiar with her. She had left the firm, and she is a magistrate at Melbourne Beach for their code enforcement right now and has experience, and we're recommending Kristen. And she has a knowledge of our Indialantic representing us for a few months, and also based upon the rate.
Doug, comment?
No, I think obviously the implementation of the magistrate for code enforcement will help us not just in code enforcement, but also more broadly speaking with regards to some of the other nuisance issues that we have that take too long to get resolved. So.
John?
What Doug said.
Good job.
I agree. I think it removes any ambiguity, and it is a concise and thoughtful process, and I think Kristen had demonstrated how quickly she came up to speed when she stepped in when we needed her the most, and I think she'll be a good magistrate.
Julie?
Yes, I read through all of her credentials. She seems very qualified to take on the role, so I feel good about it.
All right. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the town attorney to move forward with the preparation of an agreement with Ottinger Legal to provide for a code enforcement magistrate.
I'll second.
All right. Public comment? All right. I agree. I think Kristen was really good for the few months she was here. So all those in favor of approving Ottinger Legal for the code enforcement magistrate, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, easy enough. New business. Discuss electronic sign exemption for Eastminster Presbyterian Church. Carrie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So first, I want to say I understand that this is controversial, and I only ask that you have an open mind and hear me out and hear what I have to say, and then we can have thoughtful discussion, and then we can decide how we want to do. In addition, I've asked 2 members of our community to show some, what the sign would look like, and then Dick, our esteemed Dick Dunn, has some comments that I have asked him to share, because he forgot more about Indialantic than I will ever know. So if we could, and I would not limit him to 3 minutes, because I've asked him to speak on behalf of my presentation. So that being said, I learned very quickly that exemption was a bad word. So I take exemption off the board, and I just kind of want to explain to you what we're looking at. And this church is unique. First of all, it's the only church in Indialantic in the town limits, and it is the only parcel that has 360 egress and entrance and egress to, or exit to the inside and outside of the town. It also complements our evacuation route. So all cars moving westbound during an evacuation, that's prime real estate for any emergency messaging to go out. So it's the fact that it's only zoned CH. I think what I want to look at is in the sign code, which is 113-307, it states, electronic changeable copy signs. Electronic changeable copy signs are prohibited in all zoning districts. And I think the only thing I'm going to ask is maybe we amend that to accept zone CH, because that's the only zone in Indialantic. It insulates and protects the town from any other electronic signage request coming to the town. And here's why I think this can be a precedent. First of all, the sign is going to look exactly the same as it does today, other than it's a little more modernized. It is going to be static. It's going to have the name of the church with the new church logo, and then it's going to have 3 to 4 lines below it that's going to discuss church services, and you'll see what it's going to look like in a minute. And then it changes like it does today, where we have one of our community members walks out there and physically changes the letters on the sign. The only difference with an electronic sign is that it can change once per week to whatever the news upcoming services for the church is going to be. In addition to that, the church has come to the town and asked the town for this exclusion, or this ability for them to be able to do that. And in doing so, they are going to allow the town to intercept that sign when there's an emergency, and so that sign can be, it's kind of a folding sign, so you can see it from Riverside, you can see it from 192, you can see it from Fifth Avenue. And if there's any emergency, they will allow the police chief, town manager, fire, typically the police chief, to intercept that sign and have any emergency messaging for the town that the town needs to know in an immediate basis. Like the bridge is closing, winds are going to hit 75 miles per hour at such and such a time, we're going to close the bridge, or the bridge is going to reopen, or all lanes are going to go westbound for the evacuation route. Emergency messages of that type. And I think it's a good idea. I understand the concerns about allowing other businesses in the town to have signs. This sign isn't going to have banners around it. It's not going to be movement. The lighting is going to be controlled to where, I mean, this is a church, for heaven's sake, so it's going to be very conservative in the display. I think the idea of having a light blue background is much more cohesive to our community, and instead of the white light, it's going to be lower lighting as it is today. And we're in the process of updating our codes and ordinances anyway, because some of them go back to the 50s and some of them go to the 80s. And I just thought, since they need a new sign because it's crumbling right now, and it's in their budget, they've already approved the budget, they have the funds for it to go now. The agreement that would be between the town and the church has already been approved by the session, and the town staff and the fire chief, police chief, town manager would be involved in drafting what they call an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, that outlines exactly what can be on the sign and what emergencies constitute. The police chief at his discretion can go in and make changes. And I've met with some of the town leaders, and I got zero pushback from that. So I would like Jim Cusick to come up and actually show us what the sign's going to look like. Thank you, Jim.
Just let me know when you move the slide forward.
Sorry?
Let me just know when you,
Yeah,
whatever.
I'll let you know. Okay. Jim Cusick, 106 North Riverside. Okay. When I got this project to replace our old signs, they were damaged and outdated, I thought this was going to be a pretty easy thing to do. Okay. Now, this is our new logo that you're seeing up there. So in the process of redoing our signs, we also changed our logo. We understand that the codes that are in place now were there for a reason. And as we've heard tonight, there's some other businesses that would like to have the codes or the ordinances adjusted as well. But I think it now is a time that we want to look at those codes and update them. today's technology with a cell phone, you can do a heck of a lot where you couldn't do that with a desktop computer years ago. Next slide, please. This is our current sign. As you can see, well, you might not be able to see, there's some cracks in there. And this is the one that you go out and you change it manually. All we're asking for, thank you, is to not have to go out there and manually change it. I mean, going out there and changing the weather like today would not be a good thing. Changing it by a computer is very simple, okay? Next slide, next couple slides, we'll see the damage to our side. There you go.
That was the air.
So there's the two on the front. Next slide. And that's the back. Those poles only go halfway into that concrete. They don't go all the way in the ground. So next slide. Right there you can see what it's doing. They got to be replaced, okay? So that's the whole purpose of doing this. Now, Eastminster is very sensitive to the town codes and ordinances, all right? So we want to do what's good for the town, what's good for the church. Okay, next slide. This is the new vision. It's a draft. That's the new logo on the top with our normal message. And that bottom there, if you go over to the Space Coast Credit Union and look at the bottom of their sign, that's exactly the same thing. It's aluminum, stucco, looks pretty nice.
Oh, I'm sorry, where was that? You said a location where there's a sign like yours?
The base.
The base, okay, thank you.
The same exact location, yes. Okay, so thank you. All right. Now, we have to replace them. We want to update. We want to get technology in there. Okay. Next slide. Back up one. So if the town needs to use it and change it, this is an example of what they might do. But if you look at that sign, who changed that sign? The church is telling you what to do? No. Next slide. It's the very top line. Okay, not us. So we're going to have some kind of something in there that doesn't look like the church is telling you what to do, so to speak. All right. So what I'm asking the council to do is listen to our proposal. Don't listen to the outside influences. Say, well, we don't want to approve this because this might happen or that might happen. Let's do something for the city. Let's go forward. And then Dick is going to follow and tell you some more about that last sign there. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Dick Dunn, 330 Tampa Avenue. The sign has needed repair for over 10 years. We've gone through this, and I was previously on the council and tried to help the church in doing that and was unsuccessful. The police department has been tremendous in helping the church. They've come over many times to help us on safety issues. We have a preschool with 70, 80 children there, so we're very conscious about safety. What came up to me is how can we partnership with the town and share the sign, and for church business it would be church, and then for safety issues from the town we would give them override privileges. That means they could have direct, using a cell phone, go into our website with a password and have immediately the ability to change the sign to whatever the safety issue is. I'm going to give you a little bit of background too about our town and this area. If you add the number of people that live in Indialantic, it's 3,100, but if you add Melbourne Beach, that's 6,400. If you go to zip codes, 32903 is one, and Mel Beach's zip code, there are 25,000 people on the barrier island that during a hurricane, the only road they can use they could go to All Galley, but the only road they could use would be Fifth Avenue, 192 to depart. To me, information, correct information, is a must for people to understand it's time to evacuate, or we have some issues like power line down, traffic light out, wind warning, riptide warning, as some examples of this. And then they would we're allowing the police department to override whatever's on the sign from the church and put their message on there for the 34,000 people that transit this area, for the 25,000 people that may need information on what to do during a hurricane. Bridge is closed, bridge opens up at a certain time, bridge is going to 45-mile-an-hour wind, which means it's going to close. You need to leave if you're going to go across. So I had talked about this idea prior to proposing it with Chief Connor, and I asked, would this be something that would be beneficial to the police department? And he was very enthused about it. In the last 15 years, we've had 4 evacuations on hurricanes. So we've had those evacuations, and then we've had returning to the island. I wanted to read to you, I got the police department's policy and procedures guide. And I'll just read a little bit about categories of messages. Emergency messages of extreme importance pertaining to public health, safety, involving imminent danger or situations that are potentially dangerous. Emergency category situations may include, but are not limited to, incidents or situations requiring mandatory evacuation, hazard spills, leaks, wildfires, severe warnings, imminent flooding, bomb threats. And then it goes on to say, high messages concerning important public safety information that may or may not require action. High category situations may include but are not limited to incidents or situations suggesting, recommending evacuation, hazard material leaks, and that. The initiator of the request may be a patrol officer, detective, or supervisor at any level. The initiator or his/her supervisor shall determine what specific message needs to be relayed to the public and what geographic parameters, target areas shall be notified. It goes on, it says, develop the script for the message. You may be assisted by the senior administrative assistant in the police office. The scope of the emergency must be defined by our subscribers in a manner not to offend or panic them, but at the same time adequately describe for them the events and prescriptions for their behavior. Notify residents by sending follow-up notifications when an emergency is resolved and it deemed necessary for the nature of the emergency. Additional, the officer in charge may be able to disseminate the emergency notification and cancellation through other media outlets, such as radio, television as well. So I'm adding to that the ability for them to keep this community safe is to be able to have a sign that they have authority to change at any point in time to broadcast this message. There's also a special location. The signs are located at the intersection of North and South Riverside Drive and East and West 192. They're the only signs in the town that have the capacity to come under this particular partnership. No one else within the town can have it. And I know that the issue of, just a second, president has been an issue in the past. My suggestion is that if the town is agreeing to go with a partnership, that the write-up be so directed that it talks about the specifics of why this location is important. The attorney will have to tell us whether my concept is correct. I would say that we put that information on the specifics about the corner, and it's on an evacuation route corridor, that goes in, if we get approval, that goes into describing what the partnership is and what the terrain is that it's specified for. If someone else within the town says, okay, I want to do a sign, and from my view, they would have to meet the criteria for the space, and they'd have to agree that they're going to use their sign with override provisions for the police to come in there and change their sign to safety issues. And if they don't have the four-way stop and the view from traffic going all ways, I doubt that anyone can meet that criteria. So there's 3 items in your package that require Matt, our attorney, to look at. One of them is a memo of understanding. And the memo of understanding is somewhat like a contract, and it tells what each side is responsible for. The church is responsible for these items, and the town is responsible for those items. And I'm sure it needs some clarification. But basically, I'll tell you what the church is responsible for. They're responsible for building the sign. They're responsible for maintenance. They're responsible for insurance. They're responsible for repair. They're responsible for replacing the sign if it's destroyed. And from the town side, the police department would be responsible for monitoring and providing to the town council the type of messages that they put on there, whether they're receiving feedback, positive feedback about it, and also report to the council every quarter, giving a status report. The church is willing to live under conditions. Half of the memo of understanding you have, and I'm not saying I covered everything, but the attorney could look at that and determine if it's valid and determine if there should be other information in the MOU. And I want to leave with this. We are, first of all, the message that Carrie about the change to the C, we are willing to live on a conditional basis. And what the conditional basis could be is give us, allow us 2 years, like a contract for 2 years, at which you're still going to have all this reporting coming in which the police department and the council can determine if this is a good partnership. And at the end of the 2 years, an assessment is made, and if the assessment comes back positive, it's extended for another 2 years. If it doesn't, the contract is void. So I'd be glad to, let me talk about the electronic sign. There's going to be colors that change. There's not going to be any moving parts to it. It's all static. There's, like we said in the beginning, the church changes that sign once a week to say what's happening that particular week at the church. The rest of the time, if it changes, it would be at the discretion of the police to identify the safety issue and advertise that onto the sign so all the people that transit through this area can know what's happening. It could be something over in a neighborhood that a tree fell in front of a business or something. Well, the fire department is going to react to that, go cut that tree up. But the sign will say, beware of tree at South Riverside Drive in Miami. You know, we need to detour to another location. So if anyone has any questions that I would be glad to try to answer them.
Do we have a motion, first of all?
Can I say one last thing?
Sure.
Thank you.
Sorry,
I'm wearing my town hat. My obligation is to the town, and I just want to say that this comes at zero cost to the town. So it's cost effective for us. All the maintenance and any monies are going to be incurred by the church 100%, but it is going to be a partnership. And I think our job here, we're tasked to make policy, and we're updating very outdated ordinances and codes, and I think that's our responsibility, is to make change that's better for our community, that helps our community, and helps us move into the next generation wisely and thoughtfully, and still maintain the image of a small town charm. And I like that about our community. I like that we're a small town, and I think we all want to keep the small town mentality. And I will say that there's always going to be people that break the rules. There's always going to be people that push the envelope. I don't remember how you coined it in one of your email responses, but it was very eloquent and it was right on point. But I prefer to make policy based on the betterment of our community, and we'll let code enforcement and our magistrates deal with those who push the envelope and those who break the rules. So, thank you.
John, did you have?
Yes, Mr. Dunn, this may be putting the cart before the horse, but have you guys identified a vendor or vendors for this purchase of the sign? Have you identified a vendor? Like, where are you going to procure the sign?
I don't think we have do we have a contractor?
We do. Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Okay, so again, putting the cart before the horse here, so will we be able to see an actual product, not the actual product here, but like
This is a draft.
Right.
He hasn't even started this sign. I'll have drawings for you.
Okay, thank you.
So, is there a motion?
Could I just make a legal comment?
Sure.
Yeah, I think any motion, it would have to be subject to the amendment of 113-307, that there would be an exception for this particular district if the town council wants to go that route. And I think probably a better way to characterize it is not necessarily as a partnership, but as the approval of this on the condition that the town can override the sign for an emergency.
All right, so is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I will make the motion to amend the sign code of 113-307, changeable copy signs, to have an exception of properties zoned CH.
Well, in order to do that, we would have to go through the first and second reading process to, yeah.
Okay, but I want to feel the room.
So basically, the motion is to move forward with changing the code, the code hasn't been written, so we can't even vote on the code, but right now the
Allowing
motion
an
is,
electronic sign at 106 North Riverside.
is there a second?
We're also have committed to meet all of the requirements of for the signs, whatever requirement that is, we will meet it. And we know if we get to this point, we have to submit an application.
Okay.
And it has to be inspected.
Okay.
One,
Hold on,
other
one
point,
second.
and I'll be quiet.
Yeah, is there a second on the?
Is that-
Dick, hold on 1 second.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Is there a second on the motion? All right. Motion fails. Sorry, Dick. Motion failed.
Okay.
So we won't be changing the code at this point. We won't be changing the code at this point. The motion was to amend the code, and the motion failed.
Right.
So at this point, the sign is dead issue. So, sorry. I'm going to take a break. I got to take a bio break.
Thank you.
Sorry about this, sir.
Is streaming good and we don't need losses?
No what?
We had like one meeting go down in the middle of the meeting and YouTube stopped streaming. I forget which iPad I'm grabbing sometimes, because I got the computer, 3 iPads, 2 phones.
We got like mission control over there with all those buttons.
Buttons here.
Okay. You may have to remind me. You may have to remind me. You may have to remind me.
Oh, I will.
So is that everybody? Where's Weber? Do we need him?
We don't need them with a star.
All right, we'll reconvene the meeting. All right, moving on. We have new business. Discuss and approve the Indialantic Dispatch interlocal draft. Mike?
So, Mr. Mayor and Council, this matter has come about, there was a discussion earlier this year, and there was a proposed bill from legislation about consolidating dispatch centers countywide. For cost savings for like 911 and things. That's been in discussion for a long time. Recommendations like after the Parkland shooting, things like that. It did not go through. They pulled it back. Sheriff Ivy was a big proponent of it and pusher of it and stuff. They pulled it back to make a couple of tweaks and it's going to reappear next year. And from what I'm hearing, everything, it's going to move forward. So with that, Chief Connor was vigilantly opposed to doing anything. He had written a letter you all received earlier this year. And then the end of last month, middle of the end of last month, he approached me and said he had just learned that Cocoa Beach was in a process of swapping theirs over to the sheriff's office or police and fire dispatch, even though they just built a brand new building and had everything for their dispatch center. It's only a year old, or 2 years. And then then he informed me also that Satellite Beach was in the process of doing this, and with what he saw forthcoming, he thought it was best with the deals that were going on that the sheriff's office could take this operations over, and they would take all of our employees without the full backgrounds that they need to have when they're normal policy. They would take them, giving them, just they have to do they wouldn't have to do a polygraph or a psychological. They'd have to do fingerprints. They'll do a preliminary background drug test, things like that. And they'd have to apply for the process. They bring them in, if it's step 10, if they've been here 10 years, they'd bring them at the equal steps and stuff. And I've had that conversation with multiple people from the sheriff's office as of today even. It would be working with the director of HR. They would take all their benefits and stuff, like vacation and sick leave. They would match not the time, like if we give a certain amount, but whatever their employees would be at, say, 10 years or whatever they are, where they're at, what an employee for the sheriff's office was getting in, they do leave a little bit different there. They do sick leave and they do vacation, but they do it in like 2-week increments. So it's a little bit different than ours, where we do a monthly.
When you say they would be able to carry forward from here to there?
They would, if they had 100 hours of vacation, they would take it with them.
It would carry forward, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Which is not normal.
It's not normal. I was surprised by that when they said, quote was, "We'll take the liability of vacation and sick time on." That was quoted to me. We don't want to lose the dispatch center. I've fought for it several times with previous council, trying to keep it, but seeing the writing on the wall, and Chief Connor's recommendation, he came to me and stuff. Now Indian Harbor Beach is also in the process of moving their dispatch center. So the only dispatch centers left in Brevard County will be Titusville does police and fire. Rockledge does just their police. They don't do fire, and they're a public safety agency, so that makes me even more confused. And Palm Bay and Melbourne. And Palm Bay doesn't do fire either, the county does it for them.
Yeah, I spoke with Sheriff Ivy, and he said both Cocoa and Rockledge are moving, or very likely to move if they haven't decided completely. So.
Well, Cocoa had to move early because they had a computer
Oh, that's
issue.
right. That's right.
They're already up there, and they're just going to stay there. Cocoa Beach is now operational. There's still employees at Cocoa Beach until the 15th of this month, but they're working out of the Emergency Operations Center now. They have a state-of-the-art communications center up there. They just built that new EOC center. And if any of you would like to take a tour of it, I can arrange for a tour, just like any of the communication personnel. I'm actually going up there this Friday, so if anybody wants to go, it's Friday at 2. I can arrange for some stuff for you all. And working with them, it would be a 3-year contract. They today actually updated what I gave you all. Originally, it was they're not going to charge us for the first year, but we have to give them our radio console, and an upgrade for that is like $60,000. No bill this year. Starting in October of this next fiscal year for us in October. Originally, they were saying $51,000 and $52,000. The sheriff wants to show good faith, and he said he would just keep it at $50,000 the next 2 years. So I just got that information about an hour.
50,000 per year for the service?
Yeah.
Oh.
Right now, we currently spend with benefits and salaries for our communications center, accounting on part-time and stuff, and, health insurance and retirement. We spend about $400,000 a year, plus about another $100,000 in expenses and stuff. So we save about close to $500,000 a year for that $50,000. So we see about a $450,000 savings on the situation. And I, be honest with you, this is something that's crossed my mind outside of this, and I know Chief Connor was way against it, but when I'm looking at some of the things that legislation I'm proposing with tax cuts and things like that, 10% of our 10% of the tax money we receive is a little over, it's like $5.1 million of our tax income. So you're talking 10% of that, and that's a considerable amount when, you're looking at things. So that was one of the things I've got, with some other stuff, keeping in mind what we're doing and things, because of, some writing on the walls for the future. But my recommendation is, I don't want to lose our dispatch things. Right now, when we do receive 911 calls here, they will go to the sheriff's office, but like when we get a fire or you need an ambulance, our people are not certified to ask questions or anything about medical needs. You're automatically transferred up to the sheriff's office and fire, and they ask all the questions. Then our people will dispatch the fire department and the police department and things after they hear what's going on. So it's still going to them for those type of situations. Could we see some delay? I've talked to other places that have, Melbourne Beach is already dispatched on their police side. They haven't seen any problems. I've talked to Cocoa Beach since they went over. I had a conversation with their manager last night, and they haven't seen any problems yet, things like that. And Melbourne Beach has been using them for years down there. So it's not the best situation, but it does secure employment for our employees if they want to go there. They're going to get health insurance and stuff, and I've already told a couple people if there's any lapse, and I don't know the number yet, if it's like a 30-day lapse, that we will cover the health insurance until their health insurance starts if they're going there on a situation. So my recommendation is that we consolidate with the county and get ahead of the schedule and guarantee our people will have opportunities to apply for jobs there.
Weber, you have any comment for Chief or no?
With this, we have a phenomenal dispatch center. The men and women that work in there do a great job for us. And as much as I'd hate to see them leave, I understand where this is going. The writing is on the wall. It's coming. I've talked to several different agencies, Melbourne Beach, West Melbourne. They don't have any issues with the Sheriff's Department dispatch. I'd hate to see us lose our dispatch center, but for $50,000 a year, I understand if you decided to go that route. Chief, I'm surprised he's not here. He was had to be on vacation this week, so he put me in his shoes. I don't want to be here. But
But this is a hard decision, and I know it's not been made lightly by anybody involved. I know there's had to have been a lot of conversations behind closed doors that I'm not a part of. So I'm going to follow my leaders on this, and I understand why they want to do it.
Hey, Chief Maddox.
Firstly, when I heard about
Give him a microphone.
When I initially heard about the possibility of a consolidated dispatch, the first concern was employee retention and were they going to be able to keep their jobs. So that's the biggest concern to me out of the gate. And I know that the full-timers were guaranteed it, but I also looked up their website today, and they also hire part-timers as well. So I don't know if that was initially the case, but they do hire part-timers as well there. So I think with the benefit package they have, they're going to be better off than here. Obviously, not sure where they're coming from. I agree with Lieutenant Weber. They do a great job for us. They have limited resources, so they can only do so much with one person. So I think having more resources there, our dispatch would probably be a little bit more seamless when we have calls where we get transports as well. Hate to lose them, but if you look at it, it's kind of a no-brainer as far as the financial side of it.
All right.
Mayor, I have one other thing.
Yeah.
Too. So also, too, it does help with the situation because you have backup dispatchers up there. And when you get a situation now, and I was a dispatcher before, so when you get the phone calls, the 911 calls, they're getting multiple 911 calls, fire, police, and everybody's yelling at you at one time, you're one person. Up there, there's a supervisor who can come over and things like that. So that's one of the advantages of having, a larger comm center.
Yeah, and in the way Sheriff Ivey explained it to me, there's a call taker. They're the ones that answer the phone, and then they shed it to either fire or police, and they are all communicating through the system. But anyway, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that I'll make a motion that we approve the town manager to enter an agreement with Brevard County to provide police and fire dispatch service through the UCC.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Doug, you have any comments?
It's, as I understand it, and as my limited research shows, it's inevitable to use that line. And so it's twofold. I would rather we keep the dispatch for purposes of the fact that it's something we're used to and we're comfortable with. But I understand the desire to look after our staff and find them a good landing spot by being the first mover, if you will. As a benefit to that, there's some cost savings, but that's not the primary reason to do it, at least in my perspective. So it's really about being first mover so we can find a good landing spot for our staff, given the opportunity that we have in front of us today in the near term.
As I understand it, there's no guarantee. If we wait till we're forced, there's no guarantee that they do get it. So, John.
So as a young police officer back in 2008 up at Orem Beach PD, they did this exact same thing up there. And I could say the services, there was no change in service or anything like that. So it actually consolidated everything in one communication center that we got to go see, and we got to see the handoff from the call taker to the actual dispatch. That's my first thought. My second thought, on November 26, 2011, I was involved in a shooting where me and my partner were shot, and I would shudder to think if it was a single dispatcher, the resources that needed to be brought to bear to save my partner's life, if it was a single dispatch unit. I think that the coordinated effort of a dispatch center where there's multiple people that can form a team and get that help to, an officer in trouble or a citizen, I think it would be beneficial. So I'm in favor of it.
Carrie?
I read this last paragraph of Chief Connor's memorandum, and this is what concerns me if we don't act now. He recommends that we negotiate with the Sheriff's Department to move police and fire services to UCC if my employees are offered the same deal, which we have been told tonight that that's true, that they are. I believe that we need to act now, for I fear if this passes into law, my employees will not be safe when larger agencies such as Palm Bay and Melbourne are mandated to consolidate. I think that when it goes into a lottery like that, I think we could go into a lottery. And I think guaranteeing our dispatchers who have been so loyal to us in our community, I think this is the best fighting chance, is to give them that chance right now. So I would support that.
Julie.
All right. I have lots of thoughts, so I'd like to share them. I'm not against it. I think I understand the property tax possibility of losing that funding. I realize the reality that might have to happen. I really wish I had had a chance to talk to the chief. I had a number of questions. One of the most important ones being, I think as residents in our town, is to make sure that response times are unaffected. You know, when you're having an emergency, seconds count. And seconds can seem like minutes, you know, that to me is so the assurance that whatever this new logistic, you know, I don't know the technical stuff that's going to happen, but to ensure that we're going to have the same experience that we've had, because I have lived here for 26 plus years, and I have had to call 911 on a couple occasions. And it means everything to know that someone's going to be quick. And I know that the police department will still be here, the fire department will still be here, but that communication to make sure that it works to get them dispatched is important. I'm surprised, and you know, I don't want to call you out, Mr. Mayor, but I thought I saw you throw something up on Nextdoor, and then I saw it quickly removed, or maybe I just couldn't find it again.
Yeah.
But I am surprised that I haven't seen more in the community concerned about this, because having been someone that just recently ran an election, talking to a lot of residents, the cost, as you said, Doug, you know, comes second to, you know, it's comes down to like $200 a person, you know, in town or something with our population. I know it sounds really big in the budget, and it is, but I don't know, not everybody, but most people I talked to going door to door, they said they would pay more and I realize we're not losing the police department, but so those are the thoughts I have. And again, you know, obviously, if it's going to happen, I guess I wanted to also ask the chief how many people were working in the dispatch. I get that you want to secure their jobs. I did talk to one of the lead dispatchers, and Amanda, sorry, and you know, I believe will probably speak this evening. So the thought being that right now the jobs are guaranteed. Would that be a gamble that they would be willing to take if it was their choice, you know? Because then we could see where the vote goes. And so those are my thoughts. You know, I'm not against it. You know, obviously, I think it's something that's probably going to have to happen anyway, but those are my thoughts.
Okay. Amanda.
My name is Amanda Constant. Can I use the police department?
Yeah.
220 Fifth Avenue, Indialantic. I've been serving the citizens of Indialantic for a total of 18 years. 4 years as a communications officer and 14 as a senior communications officer. I'm saddened to see the beach town that I grew up to love as a college student going to FIT and then gained as a family when I started working here, agreeing to disband such a heavily relied on department and resource. We have been reassured that you all are going to vote to close the communication center, and there's no changing your minds, but I still wanted to address you. While part of the job as council members is to ensure the town is funded, the other part of the job is to make sure your residents' taxes are paying for the best services possible. I know this move has been sold to you as a money-saving one, as well as providing the residents with state-of-the-art systems. The only state-of-the-art thing about the move is the shiny new building at the Unified Communications Center is located in. All agencies in Brevard have the same 911 system as is provided by the Brevard County 911 Administration. This is a separate entity from the Sheriff's Office. All agencies in Brevard have the same encrypted radio system as required by the FCC and serviced and maintained by the Brevard County Public Radio Systems Office, as well as Communications International, two entities separate from the Sheriff's Office. The CAD, or Computer-Aided Dispatch System, that we use in Indialantic is backboned off of the Sheriff's Office and has the same exact capabilities as their CAD system. I know this because I was part of the original build team in 2015 when the county first purchased the CAD system. I was also part of the 2021 build when Brevard County Fire Rescue was brought onto the system, as well as just last month to help bring Satellite Beach onto the system. Well, again, it was made widely known that all of your votes tonight would be to close the communication center. I wish you would have taken the time to come speak with us first. Had any of you reached out and spoken with us in regards to this, you would have been informed of the state-of-the-art systems housed right here in your own town. In regards to this statement posted on Facebook, it is not true that all of the call takers at the UCC are trained as emergency medical dispatchers. It is a goal they are moving towards. However, this is not the reality at this point in time. What's going to be your reality is longer wait times to speak with a call taker when calling in on the non-emergency line. 911 calls rolling over to the Titusville Police Department because they were not answered within the allotted time frame. Just this past weekend, I contacted the UCC upon paging out Melbourne Beach's fire department, which is procedure, as their police department is required to respond to certain calls. Dispatch never notified any of the Melbourne Beach officers of the call. Another example, just a couple weeks ago, I paged them out for an active gas leak due to a pipe being struck by construction equipment and notified the UCC call taker, again, per procedure. The police department was never notified of the call. The officer who did finally respond to it did so because he noticed the call on their car computer and questioned the dispatcher about it. I looked at the call and radio logs, and the officer noticed the call 20 minutes after I called the UCC requesting a response. Just this past weekend, a man in Indialantic fell out of a tree, a call which we dispatched both fire and police for, and our dispatch center was never notified of the call. The UCC is split up between call takers, emergency medical fire dispatchers, and police dispatchers. So each dispatcher is notified individually of the call once it is entered into the system by the call taker and marked ready for dispatch. Here in Indialantic, we do not play the game of telephone. We are your call taker, we are your dispatcher, which affords us the ability to give second-by-second updates to the responding units. We do not have to wait for a call taker to type out notes into the call for another person to read them over the radio to responding units. On top of that, there will be no one manning the front window outside of the normal Monday through Friday business hours, limiting certain business transactions that we handle while the town hall is closed. I am not ignorant to the savings that disbanding the communication centers will provide to the town, but savings at what cost to the residents? I cannot imagine that the limited amount of facts that I was able to provide in the short amount of time I am given to speak has fully swayed your vote, but I do hope it has planted a reasonable amount of doubt in your minds for you to table the vote and look further into the concerns addressed, as well as concerns I have not been able to bring up due to time constraints, and wait to see if the property bill tax actually passes. I'm certain I'm over my 3 minutes here, but this next part is actually really personally important to me. Next week is National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. To all my communication officers in the room and those streaming live stream, helping to cover dispatch so I can be here to speak with you. I want to thank all of you for always being here, for covering last-minute shifts on your day off, for working days, nights, weekends, for missing or having rescheduled celebrating holidays and other events with your families, for moving into the police station during hurricanes, and for all of the things you have done and continue to do for the comm center and for me. You are the most amazing group of giving and selfless individuals, and I'm thankful every day that your life journeys brought you here. Devastated does not begin to describe my feelings about this decision, but I hope none of you feel your time here was a waste. My wish is that you take all that you've learned, the memories you've made, and the friendships you've forged, and use them to excel in this next chapter of your life. Thank you.
Thank you. Jerry Warburton.
My name is Jerry Warburton,
and I'm hoping I can get through this because my son spent 24 years here. I'm sorry.
No problem. Take your time.
I'm very concerned about the consolidation and how it's going to affect response time of medical, police, and fire, especially when precious seconds matter. BCSO has a much higher call volume, and that is only going to get worse. They are now responsible for Satellite Beach, Indian Harbor Beach, Cocoa Beach, Melbourne Beach, as well as their own calls. It's inevitable calls will be lost or misdirected with a higher volume of calls. There are also the non-emergency calls that factor in. They are already making mistakes in dispatching their calls, and these mistakes will only increase as the amount of calls increase. Our dispatchers know their officers and fire personnel. They know which ones need repeating of an address before being asked, which saves seconds. They know which ones respond back quickly on the radio. They also know which ones respond a bit slower on the radio. This could mean the safety of a responder. BCO isn't going to know that from the tone of someone's voice. Our dispatchers also know their residents. And my son told a story about this woman that would call at 3 o'clock in the morning because she woke up. She needed reassurance. She needed somebody to speak to, and there was no one in her home. She called a non-emergency number, and my son, being the professional that he was, when she asked what time it was, he said, "Do you need fire, ambulance, or police?" And she said, "I don't need any." She continued to call. He started speaking to her a little bit more, and my son was a man of few words, so this is a major thing that he spoke with her. Come to find out, her husband had just passed away, and she just needed a voice, and he was that voice. We are going to lose that personalized service, as well as the walk-up window. There won't be someone there 24/7. Sometimes people, when upset or scared, just need someone to talk to face. As a tax-paying resident, I would really like to think that our opinions matter and that you really care about what's going to happen to your residents. You don't cut the first link in emergency services to save money. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? No other public comment?
John Greco, 418 7th Avenue. I'm hearing two sides of the story, which is probably usual, but from you all, I got that centralizing the dispatch office was inevitable. It was just a matter of time. And from the people that just spoke, I don't get that at all. So are you guys on the same page, or is?
So there was some legislation that was being proposed this year that when I spoke with Sheriff Ivey, he was part of the development, whatever. And I guess they pulled it to make it better. I don't know what that means.
What kind of legislation?
That was going to force all municipalities to go to a unified communication center.
So that is inevitable.
Well, they withdrew the proposed legislation this year.
Right.
He told me they're bringing it back next year, and quote, "It's gonna pass."
So the town of Indialantic can be forced to have a centralized
Yes.
dispatch?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Comments from council before we vote?
No, and just thank you for the dispatch on officers, communications officers for coming out tonight. It's not something that we want to do, and it's certainly not for the money. So.
Yeah. And thanks for the clarification. In referencing my post, not all, like Amanda said, not all dispatchers are cross-certified. The new ones are being cross-certified, and some of them are, but not all of them.
The sheriff's office had offered also, which will give them pay raises. They're going to automatically give them the choice. Normally, it's mandatory. They make them become EMDs or emergency medical dispatchers. But they'll go, because they're bringing them in, they'll actually give them the option, but they're going to pay for it and everything and do that training. So it would actually give them a pay raise if that happens.
I just want to say thank you for your service, and this happens. I mean, it's terrible, and sometimes it happens. I do have a question, though. Sheriff's making all these promises. What holds his feet to the fire? What recourse do we have if a dispatcher goes over there and they're at pay band, whatever, and the sheriff says, no, I don't want to do this anymore? What mechanism do we have to hold his feet to the fire? I have some personal experience, that's why I'm asking.
Oh. So I'm actually going to meet with the HR director up there. We just, some conversations this afternoon and things, you know, could something happen in their background, you know?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying,
Oh.
you know, they clear background, everything's good to go, and then, you know, in 6 months, they said, hey, you know, we have an excess amount of people, and we're gonna last in, first out. So is there any protection for these folks from, besides the sheriff's word, okay?
Yeah.
Is there anything in writing that says, okay, Dispatcher Jones got hired at pay band, whatever, and in 6 months, you know, absent disciplinary things, absent background things, is there anything to protect these employees?
There's nothing in writing. I don't think they'd put anything in writing to guarantee that. But, I mean, they're going to be letting people go because they don't, because they're needed to cut people. They're already short up there. So this fills two stones. Plus, it gives the opportunity of, and I had the meeting today with all our dispatchers, communications officers. It gives the opportunity, once they've got their foot in the door, and as I explained to them, I go, that basically opens the whole sheriff's office to you, you know, and things.
No, I understand all the opportunities that are available once they join the sheriff's office. I get all that. I'm retired from the sheriff's office. I get all that. I'm just concerned that promises have been made, and, you know, sometimes those promises fall flat unless you have them in writing. I mean, so I'm just looking to protect the folks that do a great job. Again, I believe this is going to happen, right? Whether it happens tonight, or it happens in 6 months, or it happens in a year with new legislation. But right now, what guarantees do they have to, you know, is there anything other than the sheriff's word?
Can we get something right?
There's nothing, they're going to, what you're asking for, they wouldn't probably put in writing. I can talk to them about
Okay,
it.
I'm just,
saying, but the fact of the matter is, to say they can never get rid of an employee and for a lifetime, you know.
no, I'm not saying that. Again, absent disciplinary, absent background stuff. I mean, again, we hit some economic downturn, and the sheriff's office has got to cut people. You know, they're the last that are hired. They're going to be the first to be looked at to be cut. So it's just a reality of an organization, a business, whatever.
That's why we're trying to get them in there before the last be hired in open spots like the
No, I understand that
Melbourne
part
and
too.
Palm Bay and things, and Titusville.
Okay.
So we're trying to get them in there because these opportunities are available, and down the road, they may not be available. There's, you know, 50 spots, and they got 100 people coming in.
So
They're
I
going to take people already certified and more qualified with larger dispatch centers.
Yeah, let me try some maybe different words. Can we get in writing that the sheriff's office, will tender employment offers to all of our communication officers and dispatch?
They will give us something.
And they can put normal, you know, contingency factors on that, this, and this. But I think that to your point, that is at least a minimum what we'd want to see.
But that was already a yes, though, right, Mike?
Yeah, that's a.
But it's a person's word.
But it's in writing is what you're asking for.
Yes.
Yeah.
That.
Let me just look for
Yeah,
something real quick.
John, are you looking for some type of, you know?
I'm looking for some protection for employees.
Right, no,
that
I
are
get
ready to
that. But are you looking for like retention? Like, you know, minimum of 1 year?
I wouldn't even go that far. I would just say that they guarantee them that they're going to hire them over.
Right.
Contingent upon all the clearances.
Yeah, I will get something in writing, I know that, because one of the agreements I read from another place, they talked about that. They said that they guarantee employment if they come through and they pass, they're waiving that they're going to waive the polygraph, they're going to waive the psychological and things.
Okay.
So just to be clear, it will be in writing that they will be hired
with those contingencies.
Right, with-
And those
They're going to offer them
waiving-
jobs, yes.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yeah, fair enough.
The caveat to that is Florida's a right-to-work state, so you don't need any reason to let someone go. So that's a concern. I have a question for Lieutenant Weber in the absence of Chief Connor. Our current dispatchers who have been loyal to us and our community for all of this time, I mean, I know them by their first names. Are they willing to take that risk to not be guaranteed employment and see how the vote goes the next year? Do you know that?
I do not know that. No, we've talked about it. Some are for it, some are against it. Some have asked the town manager to get some other information before making a decision. It's gonna be a change in schedules. It's gonna be a change in the drive. It's gonna be a change in lifestyle. So none of them have committed, no.
I mean, this is heartbreaking.
I have a question. Have any of our council members had much feedback from the community about this issue?
No.
I mean, I just.
I mean, we just found out about it
Yeah, I
last-
mean, I just
last
personally
week.
feel like it's
Yeah.
being rushed. It feels odd that the chief isn't here. Nothing against you, Mr. Whoever, but it just seems, I don't know. I usually feel good about something. This feels very bad.
I guess, let me ask the question, I mean, what's the downside to pushing this to next month's agenda?
The downside is, well, now we're pushing it in May. We're trying to shoot for a June 15th date when Indian Harbor Beach is moving over and moving all the stuff at one time.
What could be accomplished? My question is, what could be accomplished if we push it a month? Do you guys?
Well, I'm asking the other one, which is if we waited a month, do we risk anything going the other way versus just to
We
hear,
could,
to hear from the chief, to hear, to have some more conversations? Does it affect the likely outcome? Probably not, but as a minimum, it's at least some fact-finding, if time allows such thing to happen, is what I'm asking. If it says, no, there's a hard deadline, we need to know by X date, and if we're gonna miss that date, then the chances go down of, the benefit of employment, then it's.
I think for the community too, coming off of a very big holiday weekend, Easter, we are all consumed with things. I just feel like maybe those who take the time to watch, if they weren't present this evening, maybe there would be more community input. I do feel like it's a big decision for the community. Again, it's cost savings, and it's significant, but I just feel like I'm just surprised that we don't have more engagement, and I don't personally have it either, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, if you take the employees out of the equation, which just for a minute, I'm not being cold about it. If we were taking the employees out of it, I would say we ride it to the end. I wouldn't make the change until the last minute, until it passed. But that's where my perspective is I'm not gonna change until we know that the change has to be made. The carrot is that you make the change early, you get a benefit. I don't get a benefit. The town doesn't necessarily get a benefit, but we would conceivably benefit the employees that wanna make the move.
Well, I had an in-depth conversation with the chief when we had the proposed bill before it got stalled. And he was very, very adamant against it. And that's the last conversation I had.
Same.
And, there was I think security for his employees was very important, and I see that's something that's guaranteed. But there were the other concerns, which I don't know, he would be responsible for any problems in the Unified Communication Center. Is that changed? Like if something was messed up,
They work with anybody that,
like he would be held responsible if there was some communication issue or something?
No.
No?
That's not true. Right now, like I said, West Melbourne has them and everything too, and I've talked to the deputy chief about it over there, and personal knowledge, because my son's a sergeant there, and they don't have any problems with it or anything. When you talk about, the situation of, the dispatch center, Chief Connor's the one that actually came to me and kind of shocked me when he came to me and said, hey, I don't like to say this, but he goes, I see the writing on the wall. He goes, I think, so, looking for out the employees and stuff, the best thing, we'll get them jobs and, guarantee them jobs, and they're gonna take them at the sheriff's office and things. So this whole process started with Chief Connor coming to me. And that's when we started looking at the process, and he had reached out to Satellite Beach and Cocoa Beach, and Indian Harbor Beach at the time hadn't done anything, but he talked to Indian Harbor Beach, and they were in this conversation after us, and they're more ahead of us than we are.
It just occurred to me, we don't have anybody from the sheriff's office here to speak to any of this, which is concerning to me. Because if they want to do this, they should get right up there on public record and say what they're going to do for these employees. So I'm going to make a motion right now, I can make a motion, that we table this vote until next month when Chief is back